Hello and welcome to Zero Cool Gaming, and today we're going to be doing a review of Rayman 10th Anniversary Edition on the PC. And this particular game compilation has Rayman M, Rayman 2 The Great Escape, and Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. Now, the order in which I bought the Rayman games was the first one I ever purchased was the original Rayman. Then the next one that I got was Rayman Legacies, and then I got this one. I wanted to believe that all the Rayman games were as great as the other two, and unfortunately for myself, that didn't turn out to be the way that this happened. I never played any of these particular three games. These were originally PS2 games, or they were made during the PS2 era. I believe that they were on Xbox as well, and they did make individual games for PC. But obviously, I waited till the 10 years later, and even longer than that, to buy the Anniversary Edition. And in and of itself, there's nothing. These games aren't the worst. They're not the best, but they're not the worst games I've ever played. I do like the banter and the stories surrounding Rayman as a character. Of course, they are what they are. Some stories are better than others, obviously. And like I said, I much preferred Rayman in the 2D design, as the first Rayman was an incredibly difficult game. It took me a few years to beat that one. And Rayman Legacy was much the same. I mean, it didn't take me years to beat it, but it was an incredibly difficult game. These games, not so much, and a lot of that had to do with them trying to convert Rayman into a 3D realm type of game, and I would guess that hardware limitations and things like that also played a role. So the end result was the creation of games that were, I'm going to say, relatively simple in comparison as far as their difficulty. But still fun to play and still decent stories, so not all was lost as a result of trying to bring Rayman into the new world of game design. So let's start with Rayman M, as it is not it's not a single player game in that respect. It wasn't designed to be. It can be played as a single player game, but really what it is there's two different types of game modes in this game. The first game mode is a on-foot racing, so it's kind of like a racing game. And the second mode is arena-based battles, where you fight each other. This is a game that can be played by up to 4 players locally. That's really what it means. I don't know if they put this online to where you could have different people from all over the world connect to a server and then play individual instances of the game. I have no idea. But I know that locally you could have 4 controllers hooked up to your computer, and the game would be able to detect that and then give each player the opportunity to choose their character and then start an instance of the game, and then either do a race against each other or arena-based battles. I never did any of that, to be quite honest with you. I've always been more of a single-player type game, but you can also play it as a single player, and the rest of the characters will be controlled by AI. With this particular game, in order to beat the game and get an ending, you have to complete all 5 levels of difficulty, or what they call leagues, starting with the beginner class, then advanced, expert, extreme, and bonus. Once you've beaten all of those, there's a short in-game cutscene, and you get your, the credits roll. So it's interesting, to say the least. I didn't hate the game. It just wasn't my preferred style of gameplay, or something that I would probably ever truly engage with by inviting friends over to play with me. Especially when you consider the fact that by the time I got this game, they were probably already 15 years old. More, 20 years old, almost 20. So, I mean, this game was developed when? Back in 2001? Not quite 20. I probably got it in like 2016, 2017 is when I got this game. Or at least the Anniversary pack. So, yeah. Anyway. Moving on to the next game, we have Rayman 2, The Great Escape. Now, Rayman 2, The Great Escape was actually released before Rayman M, because it was released in 1999. And it's more of the single-player gameplay style game. More of the type of thing that I enjoy playing. So basically, I'm just going to give you a rundown of the story, and then we'll go over what kind of gameplay it is. But I think most people actually understand what type of gameplay it is. But we'll go over it anyway. So basically, space pirates come to Rayman's planet and they destroy the world's core, which greatly weakens Rayman's powers. In other words, all the powers that you got in the first game go away because of this. Excuse me. This was a pretty popular thing that they did with games, and they continue to do with games. Is they bring the main character back down to his base form in some way, so that you have to go around and essentially either collect new abilities or recollect all the abilities that you already had. It's not a bad game design, it's not like I hate it, but it's something that's been done for years, and this is another game that uses that as a way to explain why Rayman doesn't have all the abilities that he did. So, as a result of Rayman being greatly weakened, he gets captured by the space pirates. Him and as well as a friend of his get thrown into a cell together. And his friend ended up giving him this silver lumi. There's red lumies, silver lumies, yellow lumies. It's part of the gameplay. But anyway, he gives him this silver lumi, which temporarily restores some of his powers, which allows Rayman to escape the ship. And then once you actually get off the ship, you find yourself in a forest. Now, once you find yourself in the forest, and you're traversing it, you run across Murphy, which is a flying encyclopedia. And it's like your guide through the game anytime you need help or tips, things to that effect. Murphy will tell you what to do. Eventually you run across your friend's sons, and you tell them about what happened and that their dad's still imprisoned in the pirate ship. And they tell you that Lai, which is like a grand fairy, has also been captured by the pirates and has been taken deeper into the forest. So you go deeper into the forest so that you can try to rescue Lai. And while doing so, you end up, rescuing a group of Tensies. And they're small creatures with, magical abilities. Much like the first game, they're locked in a cage. And you have to break the cages to break them out. So they do keep a lot of the aspects of the original Rayman in this rendition of it, even though it's a 3D world. And they try to give you, like I said, a new style of gameplay, a new way of playing the Rayman games in a 3D realm. And like I said, they don't do a horrible job. So eventually Rayman gains access to the Hall of Doors, and to do so it's going to cost you some yellow lumies, and you've got to collect enough of these yellow lumies in order to gain access to different doors. The King of the Tensies creates a network of portals that connect the Hall of Doors, so that Rayman can use that in order to access the various areas throughout the world you live on. Eventually, Rayman finds Lai, and she's being held captive in a force field. After you free her from that force field, You tell her about what's going on and that, your friend's still locked up in the pirate ship. And she informs you that because of the destruction of the world's core, that even she can't restore your powers. But she tells you that there are 4 ancient masks scattered throughout the world. And if you retrieve these masks, the spirit of the world might be awakened, and it can help you to defeat the robot pirates. And each mask has its own elements. Water and ice, earth and stone, fire and air. One mask has water and ice together, another mask has earth and stone together, and then the last 2 masks just have fire and air. So 2 of them have 2 abilities and 2 of them only have 1. It's a different way of doing it, I guess. It's not horrible. And the game does try to, in its gameplay, provide puzzles that utilize both of these elements for the masks that have 2 elements together in order to traverse certain areas. So it's a good use of the abilities that you're given. So you set off in your quest to find the masks, and the first thing that you run across is Admiral Razorbeard, and he dispatches several warships to pursue and kill you. And then as you approach the entrance to the water and ice mask, you got to defeat the Guardian, and in the combat, or right after combat, you collect the first mask. And this teleports you to the realm of Polkus. Polkus, tells you that, congratulations for finding him, and he urges you, of course, to collect the other 3 masks. And then he sends you off to Minhir Hills. And there you learn to walk on shells. And you meet a friendly giant. And the giant tells you that he's become terminally ill after swallowing one of these robot pirates. And he asks you to go after an elixir that might be able to save him. And of course it's found in the Cave of Bad Dreams. And it's a place that can only be accessed when you're asleep. So you and him travel to a witch doctor that hypnotizes you and then transports you to the cave. Once you're hypnotized, you get transported to the Cave of Bad Dreams. And you meet the Guardian of the Dream World. And you're offered a choice. Eternal wealth instead of taking the elixir. And, obviously the only reason that you're there is to get the elixir, so it wouldn't exactly be a good idea to choose the eternal wealth. It might make the game a little easier, but you're going to get a bad ending as a result. So try to stick with the storyline. I never really understood why it gave you this choice to begin with. So eventually you'll end up getting the elixir, and then you take that back and you heal the giant the friendly giant, and as a result, you'll end up getting reunited with your friend that was locked up in the ship. And the reason that you're able to reunite with them is because they moved him off the ship to a remote detention facility. And once you're reunited with him, he offers you another silver lumi. And this, of course, continues to give you more abilities, making the rest of your journey a little easier. And then you have to fight the ship, the pirate ship that your friend was once imprisoned within. And once you defeat it, you travel to Well Bay. And here you free a benevolent whale who's been also imprisoned by the pirates. And they've been using the blubber of the whale and the oil that the whale has within its body to power their ships. There's some metaphors there, if you want to call it that. As this is something that we do with whales, or used to, actually still do. We use their oils for perfumes, and I would imagine we use their blubber for other things as well, even still to this day. And once you stop them from harvesting this well, it informs Rayman of the location of the second mask. And it's in a sanctuary known as Stone and Fire. And its guardian is Umber. And that guardian is a statue which you can use to control in order to walk across lava. And by doing so, it allows you to obtain the second mask. Once you get it, Razorbeard becomes infuriated and orders numerous fleets of warships to go after you. And eventually they do ambush you in a mountainous area. But, through the will of the game, you will escape this, regardless of the amount of ships that are after you. And then you arrive at Sanctuary Rock, or Sanctuary Rock and Lava. And again, you obtain new powers, this time from Lai, which gives you the ability to fly. And right after that happens, the guardian of this new sanctuary, Fouch, wounds you, which causes you to lose your ability to fly. And then after you defeat him and obtain the third mask, you get teleported to the Iron Mountains. And within the Iron Mountains, there's a pretty big network of mines. It's like a maze. And you find the wife of your friend, and she's in despair after finding out that dozens of her children are being used for labor in the mines. Your friend once again gets captured and sent to a buccaneer, and you need to hijack a warship and rescue your friend again, as well as his children, from the mines. After you do so, his wife and the children leave, but one of the children passes on the fourth mask to you. claiming that they found it in the mines. So Rayman departs, and you go back to the realm of Polkus, who congratulates you on your work and your, success in collecting all 4 masks. Um, and then he creates a portal which allows you to go to the airborne buccaneer, in which you must you get to finally defeat Razorbeard and save your friend again. And eventually you visit Razorbeard, who presents your friend in a large powered exoskeleton, which makes the person who's in it invulnerable to damage. Razorbeard plans. Basically, Razorbeard is your final confrontation in this game. And as soon as you enter the Buccaneer, which is a ship, you find that both Razorbeard and your friend are up in the crow's nest. And Razorbeard accidentally causes the collapse of the floor, plunging both him and your friend into the lava-filled furnace below. And then Lai telepathically saves Rayman from his fall and creates a sentient flying shell for you. And this is used to defeat the exoskeleton, machine thing that Razorbeard had created. And once you defeat it, Razorbeard himself escapes from the ship in a little shuttlecraft-like thing and initiates the self-destruct system. And of course that destroys the ship while you're still inside. And then the end of the game is everybody's gathered for your funeral, and they could only find your left shoe. And while that's happening, the shoe suddenly starts to, move around, and you walk up as a, one-footed Rayman, and everybody's happy and blah blah blah, and you get your other foot back. So it's not a bad story by any stretch of the imagination. Moving on, I think you get the gameplay. It's a 3D platformer, really. You get different abilities and powers as you go through the game, and there's a whole bunch of side quest type stuff that you need to do. So the third game, we'll just go through the story again. You're sitting there asleep one night, and a black Lumi appears. And this black Lumi is essentially pure evil. He runs around and starts to transform other red Lumis into black Lumis. And then those new black Lumis go to turn other Lumis into more black Lumis. And eventually they amass enough power through this and that they're able to transform themselves into scarecrow-like hoodlums. Now, hoodlums were from the first game. And in the middle of this process, Murphy, one of the workers of the Fairy Council, he discovers that discovers their existence and what they're doing and how they're changing the good creatures of the world into evil creatures. That's essentially what's happened. And he finds that the leader is hiding nearby. And the Black Lumis pursue him for this. And he's eventually chased to a clearing where Rayman and his friend are sleeping. And of course, just after reaching him, your friend wakes up, and you're now aware of the situation. Your friend helps Murphy, and he wakes Rayman up. And he carries, the two of you off to safety. In the process, Rayman loses his hands, which forces Murphy to pick them up. And when he does, they fly him away from the clearing itself. And your friend runs away to safety. But unfortunately, your hands are gone as well. And then, as some time passes and you're traversing the forest, the hoodlums, these new hoodlums, invade the forest. And while all this is happening, you're making your way to the council. And when you get there, you find that your friend's hiding in a barrel. And when you talk to him, you get your hands back. So a few of the councilmen members appear, and they're talking to your friend. And Rayman and Murphy pursue them so that they could figure out, exactly what started this whole mess of the hoodlums, and they learn of the evil Andre and how he plans to taint the heart of the world so that he can create an army of hoodlums. Eventually, Andre catches up with your friend, who ends up being swallowed up by evil. And Rayman, of course, attempts to seek out a doctor that can rid Andre or who can get Andre, out of your friend's insides. Murphy departs from the team, And as he does so, he warns you of the black loomies and how they may force your friend to drink plum juice, regardless of the fact that he has an allergy to it. So you go off to meet 3 different doctors. Otosai, yeah, Romeo Patty, and Arthritis. And each one of them make their own independent attempts to purge Andre from your friend. And they, even though they don't succeed in doing so, they do succeed in getting rid of him after a collaborating effort to do so. And then Andre, after being purged, teams up with Reflux. He's a member of the Canaran race, and that's the people that you had previously defeated. Reflux steals a scepter of basically he steals the scepter of the god that his people have been worshipping for, however long. And the Child King of Khernan uses it to increase his own powers, which will allow him to turn Andre into a being that can infinitely reproduce. With your friend's help, you climb to the top of the tower, and you face off against Reflux and Andre. And they transform into a giant winged monster. After the battle, Reflux after you destroy Reflux, Rayman turns Andre back into a red Lumi. Excuse me. And of course you still have to go after Andre. But once you do that, the black Loomies start turning back into the red Loomies, and shortly thereafter, you and your friend return to the clearing that you were at the beginning of the game, and they resume their nap. And your friend admits that he misses Andre, and that he would like to have him back, but Rayman says that it's not a good idea, and that he does not know how to get him back. But your friend says, well, red Loomies have to be scared into being black Loomies. Which Rayman, you reply that you would hate to imagine a world that could scare a Loomie that much. And then you have a flashback back to the beginning of the game, where you realize that Rayman had accidentally created Andre in the first place. Because you had went off on your own and scared a red Loomie with frightening shadow puppets.
No! Don't touch me! No! No! Glowbox! Help me! I'm scared! No!
Hey, we're back where we started. Looks like we get a full night's sleep after all. Hey, what's the matter, Glowbox?
It's Andy. I miss him.
You know, he's happier now. Look at the red lumps. How happy they seem.
I don't care. I want my Andy.
I'm not sure that's such a good idea. Besides, I wouldn't know how to do it.
You have to scare a red lump.
I hate to imagine what could possibly scare a lump.
So, it's a cute story to say the least. And again, it's a 3D platformer. So yeah, fun games. They weren't the worst thing I've ever played, that's for sure. But that's my review for the day. I hope that you enjoy the rest of yours. If you could hit the like, subscribe, rumble, follow buttons, all that does help. And I'll talk to you later.